Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling just completely invisible?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want you to really think about that feeling for a second. You're standing there, the interaction wraps up, the person walks away, and you are just left with this hollow, sort of sinking sensation that they didn't actually see you at all.
Right. Like you were just a prop in their day.
Exactly.
I prop.
And it's an awful feeling.
It is a universally terrible feeling. And what makes it so tragic is that more often than not, the other person didn't wake up intending to make you feel that way.
No, of course not.
It's rarely malicious. It's just we get so caught up in our own worlds.
Right, and that unintentional disconnect is exactly the problem we are diving into today. Because, we have all been on both sides of this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Often, in our absolute eagerness to connect with someone, we end up doing the exact opposite. We stand there nodding vigorously, but really we're waiting for our turn to speak.
Yeah, the classic listening to reply rather than just listening.
Yes. Or, someone shares a really vulnerable story, and we try to relate by immediately launching into a bigger, crazier story of our own.
Trying to match their energy, but completely derailing them.
Exactly. Or we instantly offer unsolicited advice just to prove, how helpful we are.
Which is so common, we think we are being engaging. We really believe we are actively participating in the social exchange.
Right.
But the reality is, those behaviors actively drain the room's energy. They pull the spotlight away from the person speaking and yank it squarely back onto ourselves.
So today, for this deep dive, we are taking a stack of psychological research, communication studies, and behavioral notes, heavily inspired by some timeless principles on human relations, to figure out why our conversational instincts so often betray us.
It's such a crucial topic.
It really is. Our mission today is to unpack the nuanced, almost invisible mechanics of making others feel important naturally. How do we fundamentally shift the way we interact?
Well, to really understand this shift, we have to start with a core philosophical foundation from the research.
Okay, lay it on me.
The deepest craving in human nature, and this is a foundational truth of human psychology, is the desire to be appreciated, to feel important.
That makes total sense.
Right. Every single person you interact with today is walking around with a proverbial sign on their chest that says, "Make me feel important."
I love that visual, a literal sign.
Exactly. And the most beautiful part about satisfying that craving is that it doesn't require grand, sweeping gestures.
You don't need to throw them a parade.
No, not at all. It doesn't require fake flattery or manipulative praise. In fact, it works best when it is incredibly quiet, when it is, subtle.
Okay, so if it's subtle, we must be talking about the micro-mechanics of communication, not just the vocabulary we use, but the literal physical delivery of our words.
Yes, the tone, the pacing, that's the biological reality of how we speak.
Wait, biological?
Yeah, because before someone's brain even processes your vocabulary, their amygdala is processing your delivery.
Wow, okay.
This is where we run into what the sources call the invisible wall of communication. We have to look at the psychological difference between direct and indirect language.
So, if I'm understanding the research correctly, direct language isn't just a matter of being brief.
Right.
It's language that is fast, highly efficient, and essentially commands the interaction. Statements such as, "Good job on the slides," or "Here's the solution to your problem."
Precisely. Psychologically, those fast, direct statements feel transactional.
Transactional, right.
When you speak that way, you are signaling to the other person's brain, "I am managing you," or "I am moving this interaction along."
Oh, that sounds so cold when you put it like that.
It does, and that builds a wall because it triggers a subtle threat response. We don't like feeling managed.
Nobody does.
So, soft, indirect language, on the other hand, deliberately slows the pace down. It utilizes open observations and strategic pauses.
Which is hard for a lot of us.
Oh, incredibly hard. But it invites collaboration. Rather than demanding a specific response, it builds trust because it tells the other person's nervous system, "I have time for you."
Reading through these behavioral notes, it makes me think of treating a conversation like a drive-through window versus a shared meal.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, when we use that fast, direct communication, it's like we are just pulling up to the window, throwing conversational items at each other, grabbing our receipt, and peeling out.
Just boom, boom, done.
Right. It is incredibly efficient, sure, but it is cold. Indirect language feels more like Setting a table, pulling a glass of water, sitting down, and actually sharing a meal together.
That is exactly it.
You can't rush a shared meal without entirely ruining the experience.
That drive-through analogy captures the psychological dynamic perfectly. The drive-through is entirely about the transaction. The shared meal is about the experience of being present together.
But wait, I have to challenge this premise a little bit.
Go for it.
In a fast-paced corporate environment where my boss or my team just needs the Q3 numbers, isn't indirect language going to waste everyone's time?
That's the first thing people always ask.
Right, because if I start setting a conversational dining table when someone just wants a quick update, won't I just look incredibly inefficient and honestly annoying?
I completely get that fear. But that is the most common misconception about indirect language. It doesn't mean being long-winded or overly formal.
Okay, so what does it mean?
It means shifting your internal framing. This is where the source material introduces a brilliant concept: the host-guest mindset.
The host-guest mindset.
Yeah. Think about what a really good host does at a dinner party.
Yeah.
The host doesn't sit at the head of the table, eat all the best food, and talk over everyone.
Right, they intentionally step back. They observe the room.
Exactly. They make sure the guest has what they need. They guide the flow so the guests can shine.
So they are facilitating, not dominating.
Yes. In any conversation, even a 30-second exchange about Q3 numbers, if you adopt the mindset of the host, you intentionally step back to let the other person become the main character of that moment.
Wow.
You aren't wasting time, you are just removing your own ego from the transaction.
Okay, let's actually map this out, because this fast, direct, drive-through communication manifests constantly in our daily environments.
It really does.
Let's stick with the workplace since we just brought it up. Picture this. You're walking down the hallway and you cross paths with your colleague, Sarah.
I'm picturing Sarah.
She looks completely exhausted but clearly proud. She catches your eye and mentions that she finally finished this grueling, massive data report that she has been agonizing over for 3 weeks.
And we see this every day in offices.
Totally. So the standard drive-through response would be you saying, "Great job on that, Sarah. Hey, by the way, did you see the email about the new budget cuts?"
Yeah, the classic pivot.
Which feels totally normal, right? On paper, I offered praise. I said, "Great job." I was polite.
You did the bare minimum.
Exactly. But if we apply the psychological lens to it, that direct phrasing acts as a transactional checkmark.
A check mark. That's a great way to put it.
I check the box of acknowledging colleagues' work and then immediately pivoted right back to my own agenda.
You basically stamped her forehead with an approved stamp and shoved her out the door. It sweeps her massive achievement under the rug instantly.
Right, because I didn't linger. I didn't give her the stage. So how does the host-guest mindset change that brief hallway interaction?
Well, it changes the pacing and the specificity. Instead of the quick check mark, you slow down for just a few seconds.
Just a few seconds.
Yeah. You might say, "That report looked incredibly intense, Sarah. I actually saw page 4 earlier. How on earth did you manage to clean up that messy data so quickly?"
Oh, wow. The difference in how that feels is massive.
It's huge, right?
And it only took about 5 seconds longer to say.
But look at what those 5 seconds accomplished. First, it proves you actually paid attention to her reality.
Because I mentioned page 4.
Exactly. You didn't just hand her a generic "good job."
Yeah.
You mentioned page 4 and messy data. Specificity is the absolute soul of making someone feel seen.
I love that. Specificity is the soul of making someone feel seen.
And second, you focused on her effort, not just the finished product.
And most importantly, by asking, "How on earth did you manage to clean that up?" I am handing her the microphone.
Yes.
I am stepping back as the host and letting her be the guest of honor, even if just for a minute in the hallway. I proved that her hidden labor wasn't actually hidden to me.
You validated her expertise. That is how you build deep professional loyalty without ever wasting time.
Okay, those professional boundaries protect us at the office, though.
Yeah.
We naturally keep a little bit of distance.
Sure.
But what happens when those filters completely dissolve? Taking these dynamics home where emotions run high and our patience is thin, that feels like a much harder test of these mechanics.
Though the stakes are infinitely higher in our personal lives.
So let's look at a scenario at home. You are dealing with a family member or maybe a romantic partner, and they are visibly stressed.
We've all been there.
Right. They are pacing around the kitchen, totally overwhelmed about planning a big weekend gathering with the extended family.
Right.
They're venting, like, "There are 15 people coming, I haven't bought the groceries, the house is a mess, and I don't even know what we are going to serve on Saturday."
And the most common instinctual response from a loving partner is, "Don't worry, it's really not a big deal. we'll just order pizza.
Oh my gosh, the fix-it trap.
The dreaded fix-it trap.
And I struggle with this constantly because the instinct feels so pure. I love this person. I see they are drowning in stress. I want to remove the stress, so I offer a quick, highly logical solution. Pizza equals no cooking, which equals no stress.
But the impact of that fast, direct solution is actually devastating in that moment.
Wait, devastating,
Yeah.
really?
Truly. To understand why, we have to look at the neuroscience of emotional contagion. When your partner is anxious and pacing the kitchen, your nervous system interprets their stress as a threat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, your cortisol levels literally spike to mirror theirs.
So my own biology is freaking out just watching them.
Yes. So when you throw that quick fix at them, just order pizza, you aren't actually doing it to soothe their anxiety.
I'm not?
No, you are doing it to soothe your anxiety. You want the threat to neutralize.
Oh, wow. That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. But by saying it's not a big deal, you are completely dismissing their reality. You are invalidating all the invisible emotional labor they are doing to try and make this gathering perfect for the family.
Right, because to them, it is a big deal.
Exactly. You treated their emotional distress like a math problem to be solved, rather than a human experience to be validated.
I just threw a pizza at them through the drive-thru window and told them to keep moving.
Exactly. And it leaves them feeling entirely isolated in their effort.
Okay, so if we apply the thoughtful phrasing from the source material, I need to fight my own cortisol spike.
You do.
I need to slow down. So instead of the pizza fix, I'd say something like, "You always have such a knack for making everyone feel so comfortable at these things. What is the biggest headache on your plate right now that I can take off your hands?"
Notice how that completely changes the oxygen in the room.
It really does. It feels so much calmer.
The magic happens in a very specific psychological order.
Mm-hmm.
You highlighted a specific strength they possess first. You have a knack for making people feel comfortable.
Right.
That anchors them. It reminds them of their competence exactly when they're feeling incompetent.
And then instead of telling them not to be stressed, I validate the stress by asking what the biggest headache is. I'm voluntarily stepping into the trenches with them.
Yes, you transform a tense, isolated moment of panic into a cooperative, affirming experience.
Which is what they really wanted all along.
Exactly.
Hmm.
True connection requires the absolute discipline to sit in that brief, strategic silence, to tolerate the biological discomfort of their stress long enough to actually see them in it, rather than rushing to fix it for your own comfort.
Tolerating the discomfort to actually see them, that is a heavy but vital shift.
It changes relationships entirely.
Now, if the home is about navigating high emotional stakes, let's tackle what might be the most paralyzing arena of all.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Connecting with someone you barely know, where there is a massive wall of awkwardness.
Ah, yes. The dreaded networking event.
Exactly. Or being seated next to a quiet friend of a friend at a dinner party.
It can be so uncomfortable.
Yes. You are standing there with a quiet stranger. The silence is stretching out. It is agonizing.
It feels like an eternity.
It does. And the instinct is to either start rambling about yourself to fill the void, or to launch into an aggressive interrogation. What do you do? Where are you from? How do you know the host?
Which, again, is fast, direct, and transactional. It puts the other person under a hard spotlight they didn't ask for.
Right.
For quiet people, being interrogated like a resume makes them retreat even further into their shell.
The sources talk about a strategy here called mindful observation, and they frame it around this incredible concept of the secret hope.
I love this concept so much. Mindful observation is the absolute antidote to the interrogation.
But it requires a pivot, right?
A fundamental internal pivot. In socially awkward situations like a networking event, our inner monologue is almost always playing on a self-centered loop. How do I look? What should I say next? Do I sound smart?
Because I'm feeling vulnerable?
Right. You're trapped in your own ego. To break the awkwardness, you have to consciously switch that internal track from how do I look to how can I make them feel seen.
And that's where the secret hope comes in.
Yes.
The strategy is to look at this quiet stranger and genuinely ask yourself, what is the one thing this person is secretly hoping someone will notice today?
Because every single person puts effort into something before they leave the house.
Right.
Or they have a subtle interest they're quietly signaling to the room.
In a networking event where everyone feels reduced to a job title, their secret hope is just to be recognized as a multidimensional human.
Exactly. Maybe it is a really unique, handcrafted piece of jewelry.
Or maybe it's the fact that they were the only person who offered to help the host clear the plates in the kitchen.
Or maybe they are hovering near a bookshelf, looking at a specific author.
So instead of asking, what do you do for work? Mindful observation is using soft, indirect language to gently highlight that effort.
Yes, you make an observation instead of a demand.
Like you say, I noticed you were looking at the sci-fi section. Are you a big reader? Or, that is a fascinating ring. Is there a story behind it?
Exactly. I see why this works on a deeper level. You are giving them a stage, but you are letting them choose whether or not to step onto it.
Right. You aren't forcing them into the spotlight like an interrogation does?
You are extending an invitation. We are usually so consumed with broadcasting our own reality, worrying about our own awkwardness, that we completely miss the subtle broadcasts of everyone around us.
We miss the cues.
Entirely. When you notice that effort, you are telling their nervous system, I see you. You are visible to me.
And when someone feels truly visible, the awkwardness just evaporates, the defensive walls come down, and the warmth returns to the room.
Because you satisfy that deepest human craving we talked about at the beginning. You made them feel important, not through grand flattery, but through quiet, deliberate attention.
So we have journeyed from the literal mechanics of our vocal cords to the psychology of the corporate hallway to the kitchen in the middle of a stressful party, and finally the terrifying social void of a networking event.
We covered a lot of ground.
We really did. And if we synthesize everything we've pulled from the research today, the core message is beautifully simple.
It really is.
Making others feel important is never about manipulating people. It is never about offering empty compliments just to win friends or climb a ladder.
No, not at all.
Hmm.
It is simply about slowing down enough to notice the details. It is abandoning the drive-through window and taking the time to set the table.
I love that.
It's the discipline of stepping back and being the host.
Before we wrap up, there is one final provocative thought to mull over that kind of builds on all of this.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked extensively about applying this host-guest mindset to how we interact with our colleagues, our partners, and strangers. But what happens if we apply that exact same psychological framework to how we speak to ourselves?
Oh, wow. That is a fascinating application of this research.
Right.
Because our internal monologue is often the most harsh, fast, and direct language we experience all day.
It's brutal.
It is. We treat our own missteps with brutal transactional efficiency, like, you messed that up, do better next time.
We literally throw the pizza at our own heads.
We really do. But if the deepest human craving is to be appreciated, that applies to your own psyche as well.
So true.
What if the next time you feel overwhelmed or make a mistake, you slow down your own inner monologue?
Like setting a table for yourself.
Yes. What if you use soft, indirect language with yourself, acknowledging your own hidden labor and validating your own stress before demanding a quick fix?
That shifts the entire landscape of self-worth. If we can learn to be the gracious host to our own internal guests, the warmth we project outward is going to be incredibly genuine.
It becomes effortless because it is rooted in real empathy, starting from within.
It is such a small shift in pacing, but it has the power to change the atmosphere of a room and maybe even the atmosphere of your own mind.
Beautifully said.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We hope you take this framework, step out into your day, and try giving someone else the stage.
And yourself, too.
Yes, and yourself. You might be surprised by how much warmth comes right back to you. Until next time, keep noticing the details.